Go to the Google Play Store and download the Podcast Republic app. It's a fantastic app that allows you to get all of your favorite podcasts directly on your Android device. I personally use the app and I love it. I can search for the podcast I want to listen to, select it as a favorite, and have it just a click away. Make sure you select Submersion as a favorite so you don't miss any of our new episodes every Thursday. Again, the app is the Podcast Republic app, available on Android devices. Episode 126.
Woo! Not
Wow.
106. Get out of
Almost
here.
screwed that up. Holy
Start it over.
smokes.
Let's start this episode over.
Yeah, we've had a number of mishaps already while we're starting, but we have a skeleton crew, not a fleshy crew, tonight. As you
The
can see.
classic trio.
I know, it is. It's very classic. As you hear, myself, Jamie, and Santa Claus himself.
Oh.
I got that premium content. I feel like I got more of an elf vibe.
You kind
The
of,
hat.
it kind of does,
That's-
yeah.
That's got more of an elf vibe. But I mean, is Santa not an elf?
So I've been
I
watching
don't know.
origin stories of Santa because I have a daughter, so I have to, watch the classic Santa Claus is coming to town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer type stuff.
Right.
And he is
Krampus.
indeed an elf.
Yeah. So that's what I think. He's just a, I guess, a larger than life elf. Am I right?
Well, he was an orphan, and then
No.
he got lost on a sled.
Yeah, is that
Raised
consistent
by
through all the versions?
I don't know. It's like to the 50s TV one it is. I don't know.
I see.
What do you got there? Little
Menage a trois. That's what we got going on right now. We got a menage a trois midnight going on after
Menage a
hours.
trois.
you dirty
With
little
my
man.
favorite boys.
Yeah.
Gosh. He's getting
Yeah, I
into
feel
it.
like I got more of the elf vibe going on since I am not very well endowed with facial hair. I've got
Oh.
kind of that childlike wonderment and
It's true.
that boyish face.
Yeah, this is taking a weird turn. I kind of like it. Not really sure what's going on anymore.
Yeah, me neither. I was interested in the origin stories of Santa, all the different ones you've seen, but it sounds like you've only seen more or less one origin story
Well,
of Santa.
Yeah, I mean at this point, but I'll have to get into a few more. Okay, so
I think there's a huge number now with the streaming stuff going on. We have
A
a
lot of
bunch of
Santa-
horror movies. Well, I mean, there was
Horror
that new
movies with
horror film.
Santa?
Yeah, there's one called Fat Man that I saw
all right,
that seems to be available.
that's with Mel Gibson, and that looks awesome. You
I've
seen
got
that?
that on Plex.
Oh, there we go. Got that on Plex.
I didn't
Does
know
that
it was already
submarine?
out.
Hmm.
No submarines? Is there a submarine?
No submarines, but we do have a submarine episode next week. You're just gonna have to wait to see what we got queued up. But shout
Do you
out
want me
to
Can I give a hint? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
if you want to. Yeah, go for it.
So the hint I'll give is that on Bad Movie Twins at badmovietwins.com, we always are very interested in settings, both time settings and physical settings, and we give an A+ if a setting is in the title. So, for example, Boo, a Medea Halloween, is an A+ time setting because it mentions the fact that it takes place on Halloween in the title of the movie. The movie that we're going to watch next week, I believe, if I know the movie correctly, is one of the rare double A+ movies.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Little
And,
hints.
and I'll give you another hint. It is near Jamie's home turf of Martha's Vineyard. It is in that area of the world.
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Just like the movie we watched tonight, actually.
Is it though? Is it? We should probably get into it. We've been chatting for a little bit. Nobody wants to hear
Fall
us.
River, Massachusetts. Yeah, it's good to do it. Dive.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, the artist formerly known as Brom, Jamie the Ointment, Kyle El Capitan, and the Gruesome Twosome present Submersion. Okay, we've got it. Episode 126.
Yeah, so what did we... it is pretty
Spooky movie.
spooky. What did we watch this week, Brom?
Well, we got a horror movie queued
Ish.
up that ended up having a extremely similar plot to two other movies I feel like we've watched recently.
That's true.
But we'll get into that. It's called Subconscious, and somehow it came out in 2015, though it looks like it came out in like 94.
I'm glad you mentioned that because multiple times I had to look and be like, wow, this must be mid-90s. And it was like, no, that's just a few years ago.
The only way it doesn't look like that is the main character is played by Tim Abell, who we've seen in multiple multiple films for this, and he looks way older. He looks obviously like he's aged quite a bit. He's filled out. That's how I'll say. So he certainly looks like mid to late 2000s Tim Abell.
Now we've seen him in other sub movies.
Yeah, so he's in Steel Sharks. He's in
really?
a stealth fighter. Yeah, so we just saw him in Stealth Fighter.
All the classics. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah,
so
all the best ones we've seen Tim Abell.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably the only real person of note in this movie, right? I mean, if you could include anyone.
I think that's probably right. A lot of the cast members, especially in the periphery, seem to be cameos of some sort, and some weird ones too. The trivia about this movie says that the guy Mark, the British guy, is played by Simon Pegg's brother, Mark Buckingham. That sounds like a fake trivia, and I'd have to double check that.
Kind of does, right?
It's like, oh no, it's played by Simon Pegg's brother, Mark Buckingham. It's like that all sounds fake. None of that sounds real. But then I know the director had like a cameo at the end. The Tim Abell's grandfather was played by like a famous British photographer, and not like he's not an actor. He's just like a famous British photographer. So I'm not sure what was going on with this.
A lot of crazy, weird stuff going on, but
yeah,
what can you do? I mean, we just had to take what we were given here,
and it was made by an auteur, and I mean that like she wrote and directed it. What was her name? Georgia something? Georgia? Someone have it up?
I don't remember it.
Georgia
Hilton.
Georgia Hilton, and so this was her.
She wrote Hilton and directed hospitality and hotel chain.
She's mostly done sound department stuff, it looks like. And I think this is the only directorial effort she has. And she has one coming out. But yes, this is the only full-length directorial effort she has. But yeah.
This is a Lionsgate film, but I don't see where anything corroborates that other than Naomi Brockwell's profile.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lionsgate thriller, Subconscious.
Thriller.
Should
we should probably we've talked enough about what this movie who has in it, and we really don't know much about who's in it.
We don't. Should we just get into it?
We should. And the timer starts now.
So we open, and it's August 13th, 14th, 13th, 14th.
Come on, man, you love that type of stuff.
I know, and they tell us a lot. They tell us exactly where we are and the exact time of day we are all the time, and it is for a reason, because you show it's 1943, I think, or whatever, and we're in Fall River at the base there, and there is a captain of a submarine who's like, he's super duper pissed. We see a whole bunch of stuff about the Lionfish. They're like loading torpedoes and doing all kinds of stuff with it, or taking the torpedoes off, I guess. And the captain comes up and is like, "What the fuck, brah? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm the captain and you're taking me out of command? Like, no way. I'm taking this all the way up to the admiral." And they're like, "Screw off. You got a promotion. Just accept it, man. Like, don't even worry about it. You get to teach submarines, which should be like a dream for us. Like, come on." So really what this podcast is all about is angling for that teaching submarines.
I know, one day, man, we're hoping. Job. We are really hoping. Yeah.
Once we learn enough from these movies. But the captain, this captain who can barely contain his British accent, he's supposed to be from Boston, and he's like, "Can I park my car in the Harvard Yard?" And you're like, "Oh, boy."
That's all I know. Living in the Midwest my whole life, that's all I know how they talk out there. So,
right, but he's
really break the mold.
Yeah, he's really containing barely containing his British accent, and he goes up and he's just like super unhappy about this. He's like, "I should at least be able to go out in some patrols. Like, we can still use this boat. We don't have no idea what's actually going on right now." And they're basically like, "No, it's shut down. Take the promotion and go and teach submarines." And he's like, "Shit." And we see them totally seal up the Lionfish, and
I mean,
they're basically
they're chaining the hatches.
they're doing everything.
There's a guy going around though inside the submarine taking all kinds of pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
And
we see it was broken handcuffs. We see some blood. It's like clearly something happened on the submarine.
Something scandalous.
Mm-hmm. And so he goes home and he writes. He's writing in his journal or something. He's journaling a little bit, and he goes out and he puts on his submarine thing, and he walks out. You see his family, and he's like, "Oh, fuck you guys." And then he heads to the submarine, and somehow he gets inside. They never really explain how he knew a secret way into a submarine.
I know, even after everybody chaining the hatches, there's a guy standing guard, and he's just like, "I'm in it now."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't know, it's this trap door."
Just evaporate through the walls or something? What's going on here?
So, anyways, he ends up in there. He writes out a little note explaining it's a suicide note, but he clearly says, "Oh, today the crew left," and then he blows his brains out. And then we flash forward. It gets
spooky.
It's true. And then I think it's August 12th, 2014. And we see Tim Abell, and he's basically screw you, man. Because he's supposed to work at Boston University, I guess as they say. And the guy's, his boss there is basically you can't be bothering the Department of Defense all the time. And also you're drunk. You've got rum right on your desk. So that's unacceptable. So either you clean up your act or you're out of here. And he's basically then I'm out of here. I'm going to pack my bags. And so he packs up a box and he gets the fuck out of there.
That's a good employee right there. He's like, look, I'm going to do what I want to do. I want to be drunk if I want to be drunk. You're going to give me an ultimatum? I'm out of here, dude.
Yeah.
I wish he was tenured, and then that became a whole thing. You're just like, what?
That's the rest of the movie.
You can't even do anything to me. I'm tenured. And you're like,
you know what? That actually probably would have been more exciting, considering they made a 2-hour movie out of what was probably a 15-minute short film. I don't know, because it's just a lot. I mean, even at this point, I think we might be 25 minutes into the film, and nothing has happened. And so, and honestly, this is exactly how a film, if someone said to us and they got a gun, they're like, oh no, you got a gun. And they're like, you got to make a submarine film now. I'd be like, okay, here's the plan. We just have a bunch of scenes in a house where we pick up phones and talk to people. And then we rent out a submarine for one day and we shoot this whole thing about how there's a ghost in the submarine. You can't see it. And everyone's like, that's a great idea. And so that seems like what they did here. Because then he goes home and he's sitting there and he's all drunk. And he basically is the person he works for is can't be drunk all the time. Aren't you gonna pick up that phone? The phone keeps ringing. He's like, fuck that phone. And then she's like, okay, fine, I'll pick it up. And she picks it up and she's like, hello. And then she's like, you really got to take this. And he's like, hello. And then he's like, what? My God, what? My God. No one's another. Clearly, this is act your heart out with this phone and in this room, and no one else is gonna be here. And he's like, they've given me access to the Lionfish. We got to call everyone. And his ex-wife shows up and she's like, what? I can't believe this is happening. Don't you go running off. This is I can't believe you quit your job, all this stuff. And he's like, this is why you're my ex-wife. And then
and you're coming with me.
Man, you're coming with me. I need your help. You know all the analytics of this. I've been searching for my grandfather and what happened to him on the Lionfish, and something special has happened.
That's why I left you, because you're just obsessed with your grandfather. And then he should have been like, dude, you're not coming with me. Obviously you don't love this man who gave birth to my dad or mom who gave birth to me. But also was the person that was with him, was it his grad assistant or something, or what?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think she was a grad assistant, clearly maybe having a little bit of love connection with him. Yeah, well, not a fling. I don't know. Maybe she had a crush on him and was interested in him, because she clearly did not like the ex-wife and was basically fuck this lady. And the ex-wife didn't like her and was like, screw this girl.
Well, but then they got to call in the wild card.
Yeah, Mike. Or Mark. Mike. Yeah, Mike.
The paranormal expert.
Yeah, and they have this whole scene. And again, everything is super
I didn't understand this at all.
Yeah, so he basically was living in England, passing himself off as a paranormal expert. And so he came and basically he'd look at places and be like, you don't have anything here. There's no ghost here. And then be like, $700, please. And the farmer got really angry. He's like, you just came in here, looked around, took some video of things, and now you're charging me £700. Get out of here. And he's like, he chases him away with a shotgun. And Mike's like, I'm on my way.
You're forgetting I killed a man.
And is ready to go.
That the grad assistant was Australian?
Oh, yeah, she's Australian. So she didn't have to hide her accent, as some of the people did. But neither did Mike, who was obviously from the UK, and he was British. And so they all gather together and they're ready to go. They head over to the Lionfish, and they've got a contact named Was his name Garmin, like the watch?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It kept throwing me off.
Yeah, it was really throwing me off too. I was like, is that a name? Like, why do they keep calling him Garmin? Why choose a different name that's not like a major company? It'd be like Microsoft. Microsoft, keep your handler, Microsoft. It's like not a sponsor.
Dude, shut the fuck up, Nike.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Nike, yeah, but they get on the submarine, and basically he's being a little shady. He's like taking pictures. He's setting up video cameras everywhere to like document. He's basically like, I'm just like watching. Like I can't interfere. You guys have 24 hours to do your research. And they're like, all right, sounds good. And so they're all gathering. They're getting set to go on the submarine. And I think the first thing that happens is they're kind of just like hanging out, and they're like, what's this dude up to? And the ex-wife is getting like real suspicious, and it's like, and then they find
instantly.
Yeah, and then they find the skeleton of Mr. Skeleton over there, his grandfather, just like hanging out in the submarine. And this is where I was like, they didn't explain any of this, but I at this point was already speculating. I'm like, what would be the reason why they would not go onto the submarine to the point where there was just a skeleton? Like
I know.
On there. I was like,
it's literally just been sitting there, docked for what?
Yeah.
Like 60 years or something at this point?
Yeah.
Why?
And I said,
what are they doing?
And honestly, what I said in my head was like, the only way would be if they knew that for some reason they couldn't enter the submarine because they knew the submarine had to have a series of events occur, and they were afraid that they would mess up those series of events by actually going onto the submarine.
That's what you thought at this point?
Yeah, and so I was like, then they would have locked it all up until the moment where they knew these people have to go onto the submarine, and what turned out to be perfectly accurate. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
I was like, but otherwise it's like totally nonsensical for why there'd be a skeleton. And even the guy's like, yeah, he was here the whole time. Like, it was kind of crazy. Like, I guess this is where he was. Like, yeah, I grabbed his suicide note. Don't worry about it. So then they're sitting there and they're like, he's obviously having a little trouble with this. His entire career has been spent trying to track his grandfather, assuming that he had some kind of government secret or something crazy happening. But instead, he just killed himself and was like rotting on this docked submarine. He wasn't as smart as me. He wasn't jumping forward, being like, "Why the fuck did they not see this skeleton before?" But he's sitting around getting drunk, and basically, they like have to kind of rouse him back up to attention and be like, "Okay, get into gear and let's do the research. Let's figure out what's going on." And this is when things start to go a little kooky, because all of the doors shut.
While they're trying to do a selfie kind of team photo, though, Jamie.
Yeah.
So
The
ghost was kind of like, "Hey, cut that shit out."
Yeah. So all the doors close, and Mike, who's very sensitive to the paranormal stuff, he's like freaking out, and he's also.
And guess what? We've got a submarine movie staple here because Mike is claustrophobic.
Mm-hmm.
No way, never seen that before in a sub movie.
No.
And dude, he's trying to get out the hatch. He's like going crazy. He's like yanking on it like mad. And then the prof is drunk as hell. He's like, just move, just let me do it. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. He gets up there. He's like, it's too tough.
Yeah. So basically, they're trapped in the submarine, but they're like, whatever. We got like 24 hours to kill. It's like, who cares? Like, whatever. And even trapped. Yeah, they're trapped. And Garmin, he's like, let me just look at my watch. We got about like my Garmin watch. Yeah, I can get it. We got about 18 hours.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, man. Yeah, that's real sly.
Mm-hmm. And so then he's like, we got about like 18 hours. It's just like, don't worry about it. But then things start going even wilder, because is this when the submarine like totally launches? Oh no, the music starts next, right? Music goes crazy throughout the submarine, and they run out, and they're trying to find it. It's in like the engine room, and then things go real magical because like the submarine launches. It doesn't just launch though. There's all kinds of like magical shit, like a torpedo like appears from like light,
and like skeleton like, covered in lights. Disappears.
Oh, the skeleton totally goes away, and then it's like floating around, and they're looking at all like the dials, and they're like, my God, there's no like bridges or buildings. What the fuck? And they're like, what is it? What's happening? Where are we? And the ex-wife is like, it's not where we are. It's when we are.
You're like, whoa! Staple of any good movie, random time travel. You get that going, and then you know you're in for a wild ride.
Yeah. So at this point, this is Ghost Boat, right?
Yep.
We're now in Ghost Boat.
Yeah.
It's the Ghost Boat with the most boat for sure.
Yeah.
And they're basically they're in. There's like even
some
a Nazi
correlations
submarine.
to Subferatu as well.
True. Yeah. True. Yeah. Subferatu as well. And they and so there's like a German U-boats around, and they have no idea what they're doing. The boat is basically doing its own shit though. It's like just doing whatever it wants.
Yeah.
It's like going down, going up, like doing whatever.
At this point too, we're also about an hour into the movie, and you know, stuff is kind of finally happening.
Is it though? Because I mean, now,
not
the number of things that happen.
At least
something
really
has
happened. We've had teleportation. We've had time travel. We've had a guy putting fake off-brand iPads all around the sub. You know, that's kind of cool.
True. Mm-hmm. What do you call them? A GoPad or something? Is it GoPad?
Oh yeah, they did. They had some name for it. What was it?
Yeah. And so then they I think at this point, like the German U-boats kind of like tracking them. They're kind of freaking out again. Like Mike freaks out. He like goes actually into like a different room. He gets trapped in it, but eventually has to come back.
Because he was trying to get out the hatch while they were diving.
Yeah, while they were diving. So
at this point, I thought the boat was going to kill him.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was over for him, but it wasn't yet. And so they get really kind of like super angry with with Garmin, because they're like, "Why didn't you tell us this shit? You knew about this shit. You knew about this shit." And so then they get in a big fisticuffs. He's got like a gun. He's got a gun. And then like they get it away from him.
Weirdest fight I've ever seen, because he pushes the ex-wife, and then the professor comes up, punches him in the face, and then immediately he's like, "I'm gonna put that dude in a chokehold," and he just starts choking him like crazy. And when his back is turned to the ex-wife, she goes in, reaches into the back of his pants, pulls out his gun, and he doesn't even care, because he's just like so thrilled that he's finally choking somebody out. He's like, "Dude, I don't care. Take the gun, whatever." And he still has his back to her, and then she just clubs the shit out of him, like right in the back of the head.
Yeah, and then they lock him up, so they put him in handcuffs.
She shoots the gun too, right? She shoots it into the sub.
She fires it.
Yeah. And like, what are you doing? Like firing.
It hits the voltimeter or whatnot, and the volts immediately go down, which I don't know why that would cause the power in the sub to go down. But
yeah, no one really knows, but it is important.
It does. It does come back.
Yeah. So then they like I think this is more or less when the submarine gets spotted by the German U-boat, and they start to get fired on, and they're like, what do we do? What do we do? And then Tim Abell's character, he kind of realizes, oh shit, the boat wants to go through these steps, right? It's doing its own thing. It leaves dock by itself. It dives by itself, and it's going to shoot a torpedo as long as we get a torpedo into the tube. And so he's like, get ready to, fire. Tell us when it's ready to fire. It's got like locked on the boat, and we'll load it up. And he frees the guy to go and help him do that. And so they all go out, and they actually load a torpedo into the torpedo tube, and they launch, and they start kind of a firefight with the German U-boat. And this goes on for fucking ever.
It really does.
Ever. I don't even know how many torpedoes are shot. 10? I can't even remember.
But there's so many just like narrow misses where it just like glides right on by, and it kind of, is it the same shot over and over again?
I don't know. I was cooking a stew at this point, and at a certain point I was like, cooking the stew is more interesting than whatever's happening over here in this.
And I don't know if you've ever cooked a stew, anybody. It doesn't take that much. It's not that interesting. You don't have to do
No, it's really mostly just putting stuff into a pot.
CGI looked familiar. I don't know if
really. I didn't totally recognize it, especially at the end. I mean, they had the CGI at the end when like the American flag is floating up, and clearly that was all original.
We'll talk about that later. But what is also incredible at this point is several of our crew members spring into action, like the grad assistant. All of a sudden, she takes over the headphones for sonar, and like was next level immediately. She's like, "Okay, all right. We just hit him. the boat's breaking up. And then
I'm hearing the boat break up. I'm hearing some screws.
Exactly. Yeah. She's like,
Screws.
we got screws in the water. I was like, who is this person? Like, what's going on? You know, and everybody's just
it's a
like
three-bladed prop. I hear a caterpillar drive.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's just she's like instantly like the guy from Wolf's Call, and you're like,
yeah, it's like it's a retired Russian submarine commanded by the Israelites. Is that right?
And at which point now you're like, okay, now I see what the professor sees in her. You know, this is,
right? Yeah,
this is why he's
into redheads.
That and
that can work
sonar techs.
That can work sonar.
Right.
It's a very specific set of skills that he's looking for.
Yeah. So then they start to get, but that's the thing. They've saved a kind of a fleet from this U-boat. That's kind of what they've been able to do by blowing up this U-boat. That fleet though sees the U-boat explode, and they're like, enemies abound. Nothing's supposed to be in this water. Like, let's start depth charging whatever's down there. It must be a German. And so they go around and they start depth charging, and the whole boat gets like pummeled by the depth charges, and they crash. Now they're truly trapped. They crash to the bottom of the ocean, and in the process, that Australian lady, she dies, man.
She does, man. She goes.
She dies.
I had to rewatch the scene because all of a sudden she just died, and I was like, "What happened?" She's kind
I got an email from work. I literally got an email from work right as you said that, and I watched this scene twice because I fell asleep a little bit after and went back and watched it. All 3 times I missed what happened to this girl. Say one more time for me. How did she die? I was so confused.
So they crash into the bottom of the ocean.
Like a split second. Okay. Like the camera pans over to her, and you just see her go like, like smack her head against the side of the sub, and then she slides down.
You serious?
Just, yeah.
I saw blood on the wall. I'm like, did she get stabbed by the ghost or something?
No. See, that would have been cool, right? If the ghost actually did literally anything. But
yeah,
it's the ghost. I don't even think we've mentioned it. It has appeared from time to time. Well, just like a face, you know, in the doorway, or at one point, what the captain was just. Somebody was like, I got to go do something. And then all of a sudden, the captain was standing there. Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
The ghost.
Spooky
boat.
ghost.
The ghost boat with the most boat.
Yeah. So that was correlated with something we had seen in like when they were taking pictures in the very beginning of the film with like they had the handcuffs on the ground, and then the blood where she had smacked her head was also one of the pictures they took. And that's actually where Garmin kind of got a little freaked out. Is because he realized he was part of what they had always knew was going to happen, because like he was the one in the handcuffs that they had seen the pictures of and stuff like that. And they must have known from all the stuff that was, you know, well, we'll see at the end of the movie. They must have known that he was a part of it and that he was always destined to be like the handler on the boat.
And a creator of a GPS company.
Right. It's actually true. Actually, it could be the case if you think about the ending of the movie.
That'd be really good.
It's the son of Mr. Garmin. It's like, it must be him. So it's been destiny. And so at this point, they're basically screwed. But even Garmin's like, okay, he brings the ex-wife into it. It's like, okay, hear me out. Here's a suicide note. It spills everything out. She reads it and she's like, my God. And like, yeah, you understand. The audience doesn't yet. Jamie does, but the audience doesn't. And so you got to convince him to get his shit together, because like his like grad student / potential love interest has just died, and now he's like getting drunk again, and we need him to like fucking perform. And so the ex-wife goes in and is basically like, it's not your fault. Kind of is, but it's not your fault. And like, you better get back to action. And Tim Abell's like, you're right. You're fucking right. And he's like ready to go.
He is, man.
Yeah. And so basically they're trying to formulate a plan, and they're like, okay, they're going to depth charge us for days. We need to get rescued. How do we do that? And they're like, okay.
They know, right? And a move that we've seen in movies multiple times. Professor's like, hey, I know an old trick. Why don't we go ahead and load a bunch of trash, can't even talk, into the torpedo tubes, launch that up, and they'll be like, oh no, guess what? But then he said that's too obvious. So I'm like, why did you even offer that? Why did you tell people?
He's saying we take it next level. We take it up. So that right here is there. And we know that because we've watched a million of these movies. That's here.
You want to ratchet it?
He's like, boom, we're bringing it up here.
No
what we're
way.
gonna do is we're gonna put American flags in there. We're gonna put fucking info about us. We're gonna do all that shit. They're gonna know Americans down here get some rescue.
Yeah.
And Garmin's like, yeah, good idea.
Ooh.
Get that guy.
We're about timer just went off here.
That's pretty good because then they start to load everything up, and at a certain point, Garmin's like, you better load your Go pads in there, and he's like, what? It's got my research in it, and also it's like better than an iPad, and no one has it yet, and I invented it. The world wants Go pads, and you want me to just put it in this box? And he's like, put it fucking in there, and he brings out the gun. He's like, got a gun, and ex-wife is like, what the fuck? Put the gun away. Like, just you got to show him the letter. Show him the letter. He shows him the letter, and he's like, oh my God, because what they realize is that they've been destined for this the whole time. That his grandfather killed himself because he fucking knew that he needed his grandson to be so obsessed with his disappearance that he would insist that he go onto this boat that would then become a ghost boat, which needed no skill from the people on the boat to actually operate automatically and kill a German U-boat. He brought no special skills to the situation. In fact, none of them did. And yet somehow they needed to be on the boat in order for all these automatic things to occur. They got the right.
The only thing that they had to do was load that torpedo, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, because then they're like, you got to put those GoPros in. Because guess what? Literally, technology, basically it's alien technology. You are providing, like an alien, you are basically an alien. He's like, okay, you're an alien. You are giving technology they've never heard of. In fact, they could barely use. And you got to give it to them by sending it up in the water. And he's like, it all fucking makes sense. It makes sense, man. And he loads it into the thing, and they put it in torpedo, and they're like, launch it. And they push the thing, nothing happens. They're like, shit. And they're like, what happened? They're like, we don't have any volts, man. And his Mike's like, I can fix this, man. I can fix it. And he goes up, he's like, we got to get into the batteries. So he gets down to the batteries. He's like, I'm trying to fix it, man, but it's really like not super great. And they get depth charged, and he gets like trapped down there. And they're like, Mike, are you okay? Mike, are you okay? And Mike's like, I'm okay. I'm okay now. And then he sacrifices himself by electrocuting himself and charges the battery with his body.
Amazing.
Science.
It is. I mean,
pretty great.
Right? You can start a light bulb. You can turn a light bulb on with a potato or something, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I
And
mean,
everyone knows
same principle
Brits are what, 95% potato?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a joke out there from my Brit brother, Patrick. Hey,
what's up, Spud?
And so then they are able to charge it. They launch that shit. We get like a 20, 25, 35, 40 hour scene of the stuff floating up to the top of the ocean.
And then it finally floats up to the top. It floats up to the top. And we get the scene that made this movie for me. I'm gonna play the clip for you right now.
What do you see, Jack? Holy fuck, Jack! Is that an American flag?
Jesus Christ!
298 degrees.
Ceasefire! Ceasefire!
Holy shit, Jack! What do we got?
It's an American sub. It has to be. That's an American flag.
Keep an eye out. See, we got survivors.
Keep your eyes over survivors.
Jack, I don't believe what you see anything else, Jack?
Nothing.
I got a couple of life preservers. Fuck.
Holy fuck.
That's my glasses are fogging up here, man. My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
wow.
That scene should make the movie for you right there. It's so good.
Profanity-wise, it wasn't really all that bad until this scene. This guy just starts having this jib jab with his first mate or whatnot.
Oh, and that scene in the movie, all it does while that's going on is you just see people with binoculars just looking at stuff. You're like, what? And then there's one dude just going off on the deck of a surface ship. It's amazing. Dude, I've got tears in my eyes, man. I listened to that clip so many times today.
That's fucking great. It's really great. And then they're sitting there and they're like, basically, I guess we die now. And they're like, well, wait, shouldn't we leave? Shouldn't we like go somewhere? Like what? Nothing happens. And like, well, no, something must happen because they obviously found the submarine and took pictures with the handcuffs and the blood and all that. So we must go somewhere. And then it ends with the people coming in. Basically, the hatch opens, and it's basically the submarine's just still in dock. And they take the people out, and they bring them over to DOD, like special area. And they're basically like, yeah, you were like the alien, and you brought like technology, and it's like pretty great. And also, you're now like tenured. And it's like, but why? Like, he's like, seems like kind of an idiot. Like, I don't even understand. It's like, you've got like a huge budget, and like you can do whatever research you want. What fucking research did he do? He researched his grandpa for like 10 years. Like, he didn't do anything.
I know,
he put
what?
a device he bought
sense.
into a box. Like, that's his skill.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is your thing. Like, do you want your GoPad back? And there he's basically like looking. It's like, I would be like, does it still fucking work? Like, this is crazy. Isn't this GoPad now like 70 years old? How do you even charge it? I'm confused. Just it's crazy. And then he was like, they're basically like, yeah, have a good life. And everyone's like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's it.
And then we had about a 40-minute scene of them having sex, him and his ex-wife. And they're like, who's the captain now?
Yeah.
And a very weird song for the end credits. It's just like
super weird.
Pop
Really
song wannabe.
That was so out of place. That was more out of place than that scene that I just played. I mean, like, holy smokes, man.
Or the time when Tim Abell pulled at his dick and said, it's because I'm the captain. And Garmin was like, put that away. And I was like, why'd they even include that?
I know. It was weird. That was like the end credit. Like that was the scene after the credits roll. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? Why'd they do that?
Right.
Okay. That is Subconscious with, I don't know if it's my favorite scene, maybe my second favorite scene, only to Atlantic Rim, where he's describing that fight.
That's
a really good scene too. But man, God. If I still had that, I might have it. I've got it somewhere. Let's get into some reviews here, man, on this thing.
I'm interested to hear what you had to say, Brom.
Well, I did throw out a holy fuck this movie after finishing it. This is one, we've watched a lot of bad movies, and it always comes down, I think the crux of it is whether the movie takes itself too seriously or if it kind of wants to have a little fun with it. This one took itself so seriously with how dense and in-depth it felt the plot was. And then it had one of these like really usually in movies, I mean, it usually plays pretty well in like a AAA film, but like this like contemplative scene where it plays really dramatic music, there's no dialogue, and it just pans around. And in this particular case, it jumped from, character to character to check in what they were doing. One guy was like in his bunk, just thinking about life or jotting notes or whatnot. And then it panned to the ex-wife. Again, this dramatic music playing the whole time behind it. And she's like looking at a map, and she like is making these really over animated faces, just like as she's like looking at the map. And then it goes to the captain, who's like just completely knackered on booze. And it was that was really funny to me. It wasn't as funny as the flags rising to the surface, but it was really funny to me, just how serious it was taking itself. And then again the end credits song just like sealed the deal for me. Just like it I don't know what they expected for this movie, but they thought they had I think accomplished something great. And it wasn't. It was a pretty lousy movie. It was way too long for what it was. Again, I think it's a failed horror film, failed paranormal horror film. I'd like to see it pulled off and done well. But what are we up to? Like 4 maybe now?
Yeah, this is actually a very common plot somehow.
So you said
it's
this
kind of
was
like
2 other ones we just watched. I mean, obviously Ghost, but what was the other one?
Right.
I can't even remember. Or are you talking Subferatu?
There were some similarities with Subferatu. There's some similarities with Below.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of similarities with Below. I don't know. I don't know how you end up just having so much overlap when I think there's just so much room for something really interesting.
There is.
Here.
And we have nobody's pulled it off, like you said. I mean, it's just
we're still searching.
It does seem like kind of an obvious plot too, because like it does make sense. This idea you end up on a submarine and you go back in time, and all of a sudden you're in the midst of World War II. It seems like it makes sense that someone would be able to write something that would kind of do that basic plot justice, but so far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm in a position where I had a crappy movie with somehow an overutilized plot that was not well executed. I'm gonna give this one. It was a disaster. Other than again that funny scene at the end there, didn't have really many merits for me. I'm gonna give it a 0.5.
Whoa!
Yeah, I can jump in as well.
Go for it.
This movie is interminably long, like crazy long. I don't understand how you end up at like I was sitting there an hour, even a half hour left, and being like, but how? Like how do we have a half hour left in this movie after spending so much time? And it doesn't make any sense. Like you could cut so much stuff out of this and still have the exact same movie. That really nothing happens, and yet you still get over 2 hours. Like it should be a struggle to get to the feature length. They seem to be like, yeah, no, let's keep on going. Let's keep doing it. And
I think
so
a lot of it though is like
long.
Those scenes that Brown mentioned, where it's just the music playing and literally, you know, why do we need to see somebody writing in a book? Why do we need to see them just looking at something making a face?
Yeah.
But there's so much of that.
But if you can get through that, there are funny scenes in this, and you can appreciate that. So I'm not going to give it like totally bottom of the barrel, but I think the most I can give it is a 2, and that's.
You're forgetting, Captain. I killed a man.
Where I'm going to land 2. I'm going to stick with that 2.
A 2? Yeah,
I think it's a 2. It's not. I'll go 1. I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not enjoying anything about it.
Yeah,
I enjoy those scenes and kind of the funny stuff in there, and there's some funny lines in it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with a 2.
If it would have had fun with itself at all, I think I would be right there with you. But it really did not. Like if someone pulls out a rocket launch, you know, like it seems like every one of these bad movies, they just do something over the top and have a few.
Well, it was
jokes
weird.
and-
It was weird because I thought I felt like the ex-wife character,
like the comic relief, right?
Yeah, and I felt like she was having fun, and it seemed like they were having fun when she was having fun, but otherwise it was very slow and not much was happening.
Yeah, she
and that was
did
kinda
have
weird
a
'cause
few
she
really
seemed to
bad
be-
jokes.
Yeah,
She
no,
had a few
yeah,
really
but
bad
it was-
jokes. I texted one out when she got knocked unconscious during one of the mishaps, and she's like, "Did somebody get the license plate on that truck?"
Right. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. Like, she was throwing around a lot of corny jokes. She was kind of mugging a little bit here and there, kind of overdoing it, and a lot of the stuff. But I felt like they were having fun when she was doing that, and I was sitting there being like, okay, I could see them enjoying this aspect of filming, but then it didn't really translate to any other aspect of the movie.
No. I'll come in here. I have no choice. But I think you guys have mentioned a lot. Length of the movie I thought was just way too long.
Unacceptably long.
I mean, you could do this in an hour.
Yeah.
I would think. Maybe less. I don't know. But there were just so many scenes where we see Garmin going around setting up these what are they called again?
I think they were called GoPads.
GoPads.
But that doesn't sound right, yeah.
I think that is it. That scene, though, that scene put me over the top. It was so great. Just because it was like, what is going on here? There were some things here that we have seen in other submarine movies. And like I said, when I built that score spreadsheet calculator, I do have to take into consideration that we had a suicide by a person on the submarine or in the movie. So we've seen that a lot in these movies for whatever reason.
Actually, yeah.
Claustrophobia, that was mentioned. We had depth charging. We had fish in the water, some torpedoes. It didn't happen, but we had talk about releasing like the oil slick and then the clothes or whatever, but we still had the flag go up, which gave birth to just an absolute Oscar-winning performance of a scene. And all these things combined can't save this movie. There were so many times where I was so bored. And we talk about that end credit music, that was just so out of place. Also, when they introduce Mike and he's getting shot at by that guy, there's some kind of like weird similar music at that point that seemed You're like, okay, maybe this is the direction they're going with the movie. But then, as you mentioned, Brom, it just gets just so serious and bizarre, quite honestly. And like you said,
I think it was very proud of its storyline, and it felt like it really pulled off this time travel movie. And
it's hard to pull off a time travel movie, right?
Yeah, and I think they were just really sniffing their own farts on that, and that's how it came across.
Classic sniffing of own farts.
Especially when you're dealing with this space-time continuum, and like looping of events and all that, it gets really complicated. And I don't know, man. There was, like we've talked about, no suspense horror type submarine film has ever been executed wonderfully. Below might be the best thing we've got, starring Johnny Depp. Come on, Jamie, you're not even going to make that joke.
Sorry, I was distracted. I'm trying to type very slowly because it's very loud. But yes, gotcha. It's Below, starring Johnny Depp.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got similar feelings here to Jamie. I don't think I can go above a 2, but that's about where I'm at with it. I
love that we're like the foremost experts on this now. Like, we can say definitively there's not a well-done paranormal submarine movie.
I mean, who knows better than us, right? I mean, this is the 126th episode of Submersion, watching sub movies. Did we make a mistake when we started by starting with some just absolute bangers? Yes, but
obviously,
whatever. We're deep in the weeds now. We're watching Subconscious from 2015. So I'm going to give it a 2. I'm not going to hit. I have to apologize to anybody who's watching the stream. I keep forgetting I have a scene queued up from the movie Ghost Boat, and it keeps interjecting where he screams, "I killed a man," into the stream, and I have to keep switching off real quick. Now here's talking. I killed a man. Whoops. So that's happened twice now. I need to not use the number pad on my keyboard. But anyways, that's completely besides the point. Zach is not here. He usually has Love It, Hate It.
So we can jump straight into trivia, I think.
Let's do some trivia, man.
The trivia on this is hilarious if people want to go onto IMDb and see a funny trivia, because clearly it was written by someone who had intimate knowledge of the production, perhaps the director. It says the cast loaded a real torpedo into one of the USS Lionfish's forward torpedo tubes in a real time of under 90 seconds. It's the first time a real torpedo was loaded by the cast of a movie in real time on screen. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. The 1943 submarine captain, Commander Sterling, is played by Cambridge Jones. Cambridge is a world-famous photographer and has shot portraits of the royal family, the Prime Minister, Al Pacino, Joan Collins, Sir Roger Moore, and many, many others. So it's a real submarine, the USS Lionfish. It's located at the Battleship Cove Naval Museum in Fall River, Massachusetts, which is a place not too far from where I grew up. Fall River is... I think it's pretty much on the Cape. It may be on the Cape. I can't remember if it's before or after the Bourne Bridge.
Did they get to film on the boat?
I think it's not on the Cape. That's what it seems like. It. Yes, it does sound like it.
Okay.
Then they said they actually used Humphrey Bogart's car in the 1943 house scene. It was provided by an antique auto collector in Boston, Massachusetts, and they filmed in the infamous Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts. For Commander Sterling's home. Do you guys know what Lizzie Borden is?
She gave her mother 40 whacks, right, with an axe?
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so that's a very Massachusetts-y thing, though, because she was from Fall River. So
I don't know much else about it other than that rhyme. I can't remember what's the biggest story behind Lizzie Borden. I know that's something I knew when I was younger, but
whether she killed her parents or not. Probably the answer is probably yes. I would guess, but. Basically her parents were found.
When was that from?
Murdered.
How long ago was that?
I think it was the early 1900s, Lizzie Borden.
I'm looking it up right now. Okay, she was born in 1860 and passed away in 1927.
Yeah, so it probably would have been late 1800s when it actually happened. And then, Subconscious holds the New York City production company record for most pages shot in one working day, 23 1/8 pages shot in one day of their script. So that's what I'm saying. Like, someone knew a lot about this movie. when they were putting this trivia together. And then, yeah, Mike Beckingham is Simon Pegg's brother. So it says.
Really?
Don't know if that's true either. And then, just to get into a little Phantom Zone.
My word. I hit the buttons again.
Engage the Phantom.
Phantom's engaged, sir.
You pressed the I killed a man button?
I killed a man.
I gotta just not even use my keyboard. I was trying to respond to somebody saying something on the stream, and things got out of hand. Luckily, I hit the Phantom Zone button, though. That's pretty cool. Yeah, figured out here.
But yeah, so this is easy because obviously Tim Abell, as I mentioned, is in some truly great movies, including actually Agent Red was another one he was in. Although he was only in that one because he was in the movie that they took scenes from to make Agent Red. So he's originally in the Dudikoff film that they took scenes from and put into Agent Red. Yeah, but I mean, I guess the more interesting thing is the fact that this actually, the executive producer of this was Ed Harris. Did we note that at the top? Ed Harris produced this one?
No, we did not actually. Kind of surprising.
Yeah, because I don't know because one of the things you might ask yourself when you watch this movie would be, why is this called Subconscious? So guys, do you know why would this be called Subconscious?
See, I wondered that after I watched it.
Well, the real answer is because it was based on Ed Harris's dream. It's actually not only his dreams that he has at night, but his dream board that he makes for all his wishes that he wants to come true. And one of them was to make a submarine movie about his dreams. And his dream was that he would get onto a submarine and then realize his entire purpose of his life was to be on that submarine and sacrifice his life for his country, but also he would invent the iPad. So they took that and they were like, oh man, we have to make a movie about this. How do we have the inventor of the iPad also save the world by being on a submarine? And this is what they came up with. And he watched the movie and he said, this is brilliant. It's exactly what I want. We will release this to every movie theater in the world. And they did. And it made $250 million opening weekend.
Wow.
It's the story of this movie. I mean, it's kind of interesting that it ended up being semi-forgotten. I'm not sure people remember that.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Is this one they're going to release on 4K here shortly?
Yes, I believe they're going to release it on 4K and 5K.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm. And do you guys want to do a little trivia? I did. That's what I was doing a quick Google.
I'm always down for trivia.
Now, I wanted to find this one because using off of that thing, Subconscious, I wanted to find one that was really hard. There were some other ones where I was like, oh, that's easy. That's easy. I think I found maybe the single hardest Jeopardy category I've ever seen.
Wonderful.
So you guys ready to get totally owned by this Jeopardy category?
Bring it on.
Who wants to go first?
Little elf man. There we go.
I gave the lowest score. You typically make them go
All right. So 400, 800, 1,200, 1,600, and 2,000. So what score do you want to choose and get wrong?
400.
All right, 400. He studied physics at the University of Munich with Professor von Jolly and got his doctoral degree in 1879, the year of Einstein's birth. This is gettable. So it's called Max Factor. By the way, this is called Max Factor. I gotta be clear about that. Max Factor is the category name.
Max von Sydow.
So he studied physics at the University of Munich with Professor von Jolly and got his doctoral degree in 1879, the year of Einstein's birth. This is gettable if you were like a science person. Ooh. So if we had Alex on here, he would probably.
We have on the stream. We do have a submission. So if Brom, you don't get this, we'll use theirs and see if it works.
Scientist named Max. I don't know.
You're gonna run out of time. All right. What you got, Kyle? What's the stream say?
From Embers of Stern, who is Max Planck?
Correct. Okay, wow. So we're losing, guys. We're losing.
There you go.
All right. All right, Kyle. What number you want? 800, 1,200, 1,600.
The stream is winning. Just move me up one. Let's go up one.
All right. Maxwell Perkins persuaded Scribners to publish his first novel, This Side of Paradise. Maxwell Perkins persuaded Scribners to publish his first novel, This Side of Paradise. So it's the writer of This Side of Paradise. This is also gettable, I think, but it's still a hard question.
Side of paradise?
Mm-hmm.
Am I trying to find out the word "this"? What that is?
No. So it's Maxwell Perkins is the publisher or someone. He persuaded Scribner's to publish his first novel, This Side of Paradise. So it's you were trying to name the writer of This Side of Paradise.
It's not another Max though, because
no, this is not a Max. This will not be a Max.
Oh, Eddie Money.
Eddie Money.
Eddie Money.
Eddie Money.
That is incorrect. Does the stream have anything?
Oh, let me see.
I've got this side of paradise.
Let's see.
Pack
Anyone
your
on the
bag,
stream?
believe
Anybody
that
got
they
a
have
guess?
tomorrow.
This Side of Paradise author.
No,
I've had
doesn't look
plenty
like
of time
it.
to Google it by now.
Yeah.
No idea, it says. So
it is Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald. This Side of
Scott
Paradise.
Fitzgerald. Jeez.
So I would have gotten these first too.
Would you?
Just like a big
Wow.
old, I'm a brainiac. All right. So, Brom, what do you want? 1200, 1600, 2000?
1200.
Max Ernst was a founding member of this art movement in which the images grew out of the subconscious.
Oh, I think I get that.
Surrealism.
Yeah, surrealism. Very nice. It's the kind of thing you get.
I would.
Boom.
Let's
you
do
go.
it.
All right, Kyle. 1600, 2000.
You asked an artist an art question.
Yeah, come on, dude. All right, give me 1600.
See, this is actually not possible because it says here he's the Jacobin. Is that how you pronounce it? Leader seen here, and it's an image.
Dang
so
it, you can't show me the image.
Yeah, and then I can't show you the image because it's not found when I click.
Oh, all right. Well, then give me the other one.
Yeah. So the other
I
one.
have an offer that one up. Come on.
Yeah. So that would be Max. I didn't realize it. So it's Max Robespierre. I actually would have shared my screen to you if it worked, but it didn't. So it's Max Robespierre. Then 2000, this Russian's novel Mother was dramatized by Bertolt Brecht. This Russian's novel Mother,
dude,
was
I
dramatized
watched this
by
movie on the
Bertolt
plane. It
Brecht.
stars Ed Harris.
Mother. I think you may have the wrong.
We've talked about doing a countdown of my top 5 movies that would be really weird to watch on a plane, and this was supposed to be on the list.
I'm not sure we're thinking of the
Mother.
right one.
Mother.
Yeah, but this Russian's novel Mother was dramatized by Bertolt Brecht.
Bertolt Brecht. This Russians. I'm gonna say that I don't know.
You do not know.
It starts
It's
with
true.
a Max. Let's see. Anybody? Oh, hold on. Mr. Richmond from Brandbeard Gaming says Max Jesus.
So Max Jesus is very close. It is Maxim Gorky, and everyone knows in Russian Gorky means Jesus.
Wow, classic. There we go. Is that it?
That's
You
it.
done?
That's us.
Just
That's all I
punishing
I
us?
win.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
win.
you did win.
Yes. What the heck?
Very
Surrealism.
nice.
I was going to
Let's
say
go.
Rorschach because I'm an idiot, but it is what it is.
That's all I got. I'm done. So see you guys.
Wow. All right. Guess what, guys? It's time.
It's worldwide.
All right. So, what are you doing? You hiding? What are you doing down there? I see you.
It's my favorite segment. I disappear every time.
Yeah, I know. No kidding. So we watched a spooky submarine movie, so I figured I'd try to find a spooky submarine. And I'm really waiting for the Foxtrot in L.A. to become haunted, but it's something with all those raccoons living on that. I'm hoping that eventually it's haunted by raccoons. So give it some time. Eventually it'll happen. And there are not a whole lot of haunted submarine things you can find online, but I did find something that was worth noting. As many of my things, I get most of this information from Wikipedia. If you'd like to find more on that, on what Wikipedia is, Google it.
Go to Wikipedia.
Yeah, go to Wikipedia. They'll let you know what it is. So I found the submarine, the SMUB-65. It is a German Type 3, commissioned on August 18th, 1917. It has a length of 182 feet, 2 inches, a beam of 18 feet, 11 inches. It is a diesel-electric submarine with 2 6-cylinder engines generating 1,050 horsepower and 2 electric motors generating 780 ship horsepower.
That's a lot of horses.
It is a lot of horses. And with that many horses, you can only cruise along at the surface at 13.3 knots or 8 knots while submerged. With a range...
Probably less because of all the ropes attached to the horses.
I know. Yeah, they're dragging through the water. It's such a pain. Has a range of 8,420 nautical miles. I wonder if they built that on purpose to add that 420 in there. Has a test depth of 160 feet. It held 34 people. For weapons, it has 5 torpedo tubes. It held 10 torpedoes and had an 8.8 centimeter deck gun. Now,
wait, I'm confused though. Hold on. So you said how many people? 34?
34.
And it held 10 torpedoes?
Yeah.
So it has to, each torpedo has to crush 3 to 4 people? Seems like a lot of people to crush.
Yeah. Well, you'll see something here about people getting crushed here very soon. Okay. During this patrol, the submarine sank 6 merchant ships, damaged another 6, and is credited with sinking the British escort Anchusa class Arbutus, however you say that. Now, the wreck for this submarine was discovered in 2004, right off the coast of the UK. I mean, we're talking 3.5 miles off the coast. It's kind of cool on Wikipedia. It gives you the coordinates, and so you can go on Google Maps, find it, and then I measured to how close it was to the coast. And it's near a town called Polzeath. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that like a Midwesterner would, incorrectly. And there are several things here on the submarine that might make it haunted, but I'm going to let you decide what you think. So, early in the career of the U-boat, Second Lieutenant Richter was killed when a torpedo exploded.
Exploded.
During construction of the boat, 3 people died from asphyxiation from diesel fumes in the engine room. 2 more people were crushed to death by a falling girder during construction.
Girder.
I know, not the torpedo you were hoping for, Jamie. While construction... can't talk. While conducting sea trials, a crew member who was inspecting hatches on top of the boat was swept overboard, never seen again. During a test dive, one of the ballast tanks fractured and caused the sub to sink to the bottom of the ocean floor, which is very dangerous for a lot of these old boats, especially because you can't renew the oxygen in there. After 12 hours, they did get it surfaced. Nobody wanted to go on this boat because they're like, this boat's haunted. It's even been rumored that Germany brought in a priest to exorcise the boat. And according to a book called Tales of Real Haunting by Tony Allen, he says that one of his sources says an American sailor saw someone standing on the deck right before it went down, rumored to be Richter, the second lieutenant who was killed by exploding torpedo. Now, there's some stuff here with this sub that might make you think, what could have happened? So Germany originally has it in their records that the sub was lost to a premature explosion with a torpedo inside one of the tubes. And a U.S. submarine has said that it was driving around this area and it saw the submarine sitting on the surface, just like a sitting duck, wasn't moving, couldn't do anything. So they thought, well, we're going to line up, take the shot, sink this thing. And when they went to do it, all of a sudden the submarine exploded and then just sunk into the ocean. Now, when the wreck was discovered, there were no signs of a weapon hitting the boat at all. So, or an explosion. People think that, well, I'll get into that in a little bit. And also hatches were open on the submarine, so people may have tried to escape from whatever happened inside. Now, what happens? We'll see here. So, what was I even trying to say? I'm losing it here.
You're like reading. You're like, and
then what? So, anyways, blah blah blah.
You're like me making up an Ed Harris story right now.
Yeah, I know.
You're like, and also Ed Harris, like,
yeah, then he bit
grease
somebody
on his abs.
Yeah. So what people believe is that potentially internal systems of the submarine were rocked by a depth charge, the shock wave of it, and damaged them. And so they couldn't get out if it wasn't a ghost. And there are some researchers that came by later, I note them as non-believers, said that the haunting was actually created by Hector Charles Bywater, a journalist who could have fabricated references and source material. I think he's known for maybe some fantastical stories.
Some shenanigans?
So, yeah. Basically, people said they couldn't find any record of a quote-unquote haunting type situation until his article started to come out. So, not really sure that it is true. But I'll let you to be the one to decide. You can go on and do some really deep dives on this one.
I've decided it's not real.
None of it at all?
Mm-mm. I don't even think Richter's real. I think the journalist made it up.
Do you believe in ghosts at all?
Nope. But I do believe that journalist had a dog named Richter, and that's the strongest evidence.
Oh, I like that.
I'm joking. I don't even know if that's true. Probably not, because that would probably be pretty. Yeah, we could look it up. That's what Wikipedia is for, right?
Yeah, and if it's not there, you can put it in. You're good at that.
So I'll do that. All right. Brahmatron 2000.
Tube 3 ready to fire, sir.
Commence the countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. Give it to me.
All right. So we got a countdown tonight. You had a very good subs worldwide there, Kyle. That was honestly one of the more interesting ones I've heard.
Wow,
I'm usually here to save the day with the countdowns.
You are.
In case anybody is starting to fall asleep on some of those. But that's actually very interesting. I'm in Jamie's camp, though. I don't believe in the paranormal. But that said, we did watch a submarine horror film tonight, which to this point, as we alluded to, have been ill-fated every time we've had a paranormal submarine film. It's just turned out unfortunately, I guess we could say. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I think we're gonna eventually have someday a fantastic paranormal submarine horror film. Because it can't be any worse than these top 5 worst concepts for horror movies. These are real films that were made. I imagine Jamie has probably watched a few of these because these are real stinks. So I'm counting down 5. I pulled from some of the research from WatchMojo.com. They did a top 5 ill-fated horror movies list with just ridiculous plot concepts. And I pulled my 5 favorites here. Number 5, we are in the spirit of the holidays here. This is a holiday-themed one with Jack Frost from 1997.
Right.
The
infamous.
Yes, is a serial killer being commuted between prisons, finds his transport crashing into a genetics truck in the middle of winter. The mixture of the deranged lunatic with the genetic material and the fresh snow results in a maniacal snowman.
I remember seeing previews for that when I was younger.
Yeah, it's got a famous scene, which I will not describe, but it's got a very famous scene.
Is it worth watching, Jamie?
Yeah, well, so the scene involves the snowman and his nose, a carrot nose, being used in some kind of sexual manner.
My word.
Yeah. So.
Wait, is this with Michael Keaton?
No, this is a different one.
Okay. Oh, so there is. Yeah. Okay.
But they name the same one.
Yeah. Number 4 is Grabbers from 2012.
I haven't heard about this one.
Sea aliens. It actually looks like pretty good production quality. I think it's actually a halfway decent movie. Sea aliens emerge from the depths and terrorize an Irish island. The only way to ward off the octopus-like aliens is to dramatically increase your blood alcohol levels. You can imagine
What? It sounds like my kind of movie.
Yes. Bunch of Irish folk getting a little tipsy.
I've never seen that one.
Grabbers?
Grabbers. Number 3, I'm going to say this is a definite watch of Jamie's. I'm sure he's seen this. It is from 1986, Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, yes. Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive.
Stephen King film where a comet passes Earth. Make sure I translated this correctly. Sure. A comet passes Earth and scrambles the circuitry of all semi-trucks.
No, all machines on Earth.
Okay.
Including like lawnmowers and anything with a motor.
Okay. It seemed like the predominant antagonist though ended up being a lot of the semi trucks.
Yes.
As the trucks begin. Ah, my goodness, my words are not with me. Like I said, too much wine. The trucks begin autonomously hunting down and eliminating all humans.
Yes, and the main truck that becomes the antagonist is a toy truck with a large green goblin face on the front of it.
No,
and it's the silliest thing. Yeah, it stars Emilio Estevez. It's a pretty silly movie. The weirdest thing is at the time that we watched that for Bad Movie, they also had a Canadian TV movie that they had made an adaptation of called Trucks, which I think was the name of the original Stephen King short story. And it's somehow like better than the actual like Hollywood movie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not good. It's not good.
It looked entertaining from a bad movie standpoint.
Yeah, Maximum Overdrive is definitely an entertaining movie in that regard.
Number 2 is The Ginger Dead Man from 2006. Sure. Another festive film here. When the ashes of a death row inmate are mixed with the festive dough at a bakery, Gary Busey emerges from the oven as the psychopathic Ginger Dead Man.
No, you got Gary Busey doing this?
Oh, yes.
Watch a trip of this, Kyle. You'll be all in on it.
I don't even need the trailer. I'm all in on this right now. You got me with like Grabbers and then this one. Like, I can't wait to hear what number 1 is.
Number 1. And this actually lines up with Watch Mojo's number 1 as well, because it was just so preposterous, is Deathbed.
Oh, yeah.
From 1977. A bed is conjured by a demon looking to ravage an attractive young woman. The woman is accidentally killed during coitus, and the demon cries tears of blood on the bed. The combination of the blood and the bed is a demon bed that goes on a killing rampage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's similar to actually another Stephen King movie called The Mangler, where I think it's a printing press or a laundry press becomes possessed by a demon and goes on a rampage through a town. They made several movies about it. I mean, at least that's what the original book was. I actually haven't seen the movie. I feel
like there's
I did have a nominee. I did have a nomination for this, and it's not a craziest concept, but it's so contrived that we haven't watched it yet for BMT, but I have my eye on it. It's called Stay Alive. Have you ever seen it? Okay, so it's a 2006 horror film, Stay Alive. If you like as big gamers, you might have picked this one up at some point. It's actually a major film as well. Frankie Muniz is in it, Mary Armstrong, Adam Goldberg, John Foster. So it is teenagers decide to pass idle time by playing an online game that has a horror theme, but the action taking place on their computer screens become a terrifying reality when they realize that each time a character dies during the game, the figure's human overseer dies as well.
No.
So yeah, basically it's almost like the Make the Call or the Ring, but with like a video game theme.
If you're bad though, right? If you're good at the game, hey.
Yeah, you'd be having a ball.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I'm never gonna die. I'll live forever.
That kind of also sounds like that movie Gamer. You remember that?
Yeah.
Is that the one with Gerard Butler?
Yeah. And Michael C. Hall. He has this like wild Southern accent. Like, I love Michael C. Hall, but I was like, this is the strangest character I've ever seen him do. But wow.
I feel like for actual BMT movies that we've watched, I can't remember too many that are ridiculous, other than something like Fear.com. If you guys ever seen Fear.com, which isn't a crazy movie.
I've heard of it,
but it's one where they proposed the idea that if someone, a serial killer, was threatening to kill people live streaming on the internet, that somehow like 23 million people would want to watch that. And then you see a ticker keep on going up, keep on showing how like 28 million people are viewing. It's like the same amount as a Super Bowl, somehow interested in seeing someone murdered live on a stream, which is not, it's not true. It'd be not that much.
Well, isn't that there's something like that in Black Mirror though, right? Kind of.
Yeah, maybe. I've never seen Black Mirror.
You've never seen Black Mirror, Jamie? You should watch that.
No.
Yeah, you should watch it.
It's good.
Are you talking about Hated in the Nation with the bees?
Yeah, I think so. That's like episode 1, right?
Wait, are we talking about Wicker Man with the bees?
Oh,
the bees.
I think Kyle's talking about there's a episode of Black Mirror where all the bees have gone extinct or are going extinct, so we proactively start making like digital bees that harvest and pollinate plants, and they end up getting hacked by a hacker. And I don't want to spoil any more than that, but it ends up becoming this whole social media experiment.
Brom, weren't you in a movie about bees?
I was, yeah, Bee Dead.
Be dead.
I almost thought about throwing it on my top 5 list of
come on, man.
concepts for horror movies because it kind of jives. It was about a beehive that got infected with a disease that created a zombie outbreak. So anyone that got stung by the bees would turn into zombies.
Now, was it also was the same movie as the one where, Mark Wahlberg's a scientist and plants are killing everyone? That's also a bad concept.
What movie is that?
That's The Happening. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is there a copy of that movie anywhere we can watch, man? Be Dead.
Be Dead.
Be Dead.
Dead? I don't. My DVD
is it on Plex?
Something. It is not. I'll see if I can track it down.
Yeah,
maybe from the library.
It'd be a fun watch. I had a pretty funny character. I got some laughs in the theater.
So it was in the theater?
I was way out. Yeah, it got aired in the theaters, but in Bowling Green. But I was so miscast for the role I was to play. I had to play like a douchey frat boy, and I can maybe lock down the douchey part, but the frat boy is way outside of my range.
That's hilarious.
It was scripted. I was supposed to walk off with my girl, who I obviously treat like shit throughout the whole movie, and I'm flexing all over the other guys that I've landed this babe, and I was supposed to walk away with her and wrap my arm around her and drag my arm down her backside, and they zoom in on her ass, and I'm supposed to put my hand in her back pocket, and that is harder than you think. Try it with your spouses sometime. Okay. It takes a little bit of work, and we could not get it, especially when you're walking, because it was supposed to be as we're walking away. I'm supposed to slide my hand down her backside and stick it in the jeans. It's tough, especially if they got junk in the trunk and it's a tight fit.
Can this be season 2?
Ass movies
where we just do it's called Be Dead Minute, where we analyze every minute of Be Dead.
I'd do that.
We have quite the audience. Actually, probably a bigger audience than what we currently have for Submersion.
Anyways, we got anything else?
No, I think we just have that last quote, right? Don't you want to?
Yeah, we do have a last really good quote. Kind of sums up
our experiences.
What maybe a lot of you were feeling.
I am really learning to hate submarines.
Thank you for listening to Submersion. Don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every Thursday. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating wherever you listen. Want to interact with us? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We also love to get messages from all of you. If you have a suggestion, a comment, or just anything you'd like to share, please email us at macestudios@gmail.com.